After days of fear and uncertainty, the moment finally arrived. The moment when the rescue diver lit the torch for the first time inside the Tamluang cave and saw the faces of the boys, scared yet alive. It was an incredible moment, not just for the 13 boys, but also for the brave rescuer. After 10 days trapped 5 kilometers inside the cave, with no food and rising water, it was a miracle they were still alive. Outside the cave, worried parents waited anxiously, and when the news came that their children were alive, relief flooded in. The world rejoiced, but little did anyone know the hardest part of the mission was still ahead. The real challenge was only beginning. Though the boys were found, the rescue experts knew that getting them out would be far from easy. The rescue team and doctors all agreed that the discovery was the easy part. Now they had to figure out how to get 13 terrified, starving boys safely out of a flooded cave. First, the boys were given food and water, and a Thai army doctor went inside to check their health. But while things seemed hopeful, the cave's rising waters were a huge problem. As the boys scrambled to higher ground, they sustained injuries and their supplies were lost in the chaos. Through it all, the coach played a vital role in keeping their spirits high. Despite the lack of drinkable water, he reassured them that the dripping water from the cave walls was safe to drink. The coach also led them in meditation, helping them stay calm and focused, preventing panic from taking over their minds and bodies. Meanwhile, back on the surface, all eyes were on the authorities as they scrambled to devise a plan to rescue the boys. But it wasn't going to be easy. The boys, aged 15 to 16, were not trained divers and could not swim through the underwater passages like professionals. A new plan was hatched, to drill an escape shaft through the mountain above. But this was no simple task. Drilling equipment was brought in, and the process began. But it wasn't going to be quick. It could take an entire week, and that was a risk they couldn't afford. Keeping the boys inside the cave for that long could have been deadly. As the days dragged on, another crisis emerged. The part of the cave the boys were trapped in was narrow with water blocking both sides. The oxygen levels were plummeting. Normally, air contains 21% oxygen, but inside the cave, it had dropped to just 15%. Doctors warned that if the oxygen level dropped by just 2% more, the boys could start to suffocate, one by one. To combat this, dozens of oxygen cylinders were brought into the cave. It wasn't easy. Every cylinder had to be carried by hand through the flooded passages. But this method proved deadly. On day 14, a tragedy struck. Thai Navy SEAL diver Saman Kunan collapsed while returning after delivering an oxygen cylinder. Despite immediate efforts to save him, he tragically passed away. Saman's death was a heart-wrenching blow to the entire rescue team. His sacrifice underscored the dangers of the operation and the urgency of getting the boys out safely. Time was running out. The weather forecast predicted another storm would hit northern Thailand, and if they didn't act quickly, the cave could be completely flooded. The authorities decided that the boys had to be evacuated by water. It was risky, but there was no other option. The plan was to anesthetize the boys, keeping them calm so they wouldn't panic during the dangerous journey through the water. On July 10, 2018, the rescue operation reached its most intense moment. Dr. Richard Harris, a professional cave diver, carefully administered the anesthesia to the first boy. This wasn't ordinary anesthesia. It would keep the boys conscious but unable to react to the dangers around them. With full face masks on, designed to keep the water out and oxygen flowing through the pipes, the first boy was taken by the diver through the narrow, treacherous passages. It was a journey that would take more than an hour, but with the boy kept calm by the anesthesia, he didn't panic. Finally, after 18 days of being trapped, the first boy was brought safely out of the cave and sent to the hospital. This method worked, and one by one, each of the 13 boys was rescued. The parents who had been waiting outside for so long finally saw their children emerge, and tears of joy filled the air. Each boy was safely evacuated, and the world celebrated this miraculous rescue. In honor of Saman Kunan's ultimate sacrifice, a statue was built at the cave site to remember the brave diver who gave his life to save others. His legacy lives on, and the world will always remember the hero who made this impossible rescue mission possible.